Babe, we're with you for another week here on the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show, talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market like we are every Sunday at 10 here on WFLA News. And boy, I got exciting news today because it's my birthday. It's my birthday. It's been kind of challenging this week. There's been a lot of things that have happened this week. Rest in peace to Charlie Kirk. It has completely saddened me. I've really been in a funk since everything happened, and just kind of trying to get through it and hoping that it doesn't lead to more problems in our country. But today is my birthday, so I am going to enjoy it. I'm going to celebrate, and then I'm heading out for some vacation. But nonetheless, mortgage rates. I had Melissa Rodriguez with Citywide Home Mortgage on the show a couple weeks ago. She is our preferred partner for real estate mortgage, citywidetampa.com. Again, that is citywidetampa.com. Mortgage rates have fallen to their lowest average in nearly a year. We believe that trend is probably going to continue, but I want to talk about rates really quick because people want to know, hey, where are the mortgage rates right now? And they're, low to mid sixes, depending. Some of the government products, VA, FHA, you can get into the high fives right now. And man, I haven't seen a mortgage rate without a buy down in the fives in a long time. So mortgage rates are low. That now, people thinking the Fed rate cuts are going to come in and they're going to come down so much more, so I shouldn't do anything. The reality is the mortgage market, because most pre-quals today aren't going to close until after some Fed rate cuts, the mortgage markets mostly price ahead and price in those Fed rate cuts. So, for example, if we expect there's 3 Fed rate cuts this year and a total of 75 basis points, 0.75%, probably about half of that, maybe even a little bit more than half of that is already priced into today's rates. So the idea that they're going to drop another 0.75 of a point from here this year isn't accurate. I've seen some people out on social media posting that well, hey, I'm not going to buy now. They're going to come down 0.75 of a point. Not really. Now, again, they could, but they're certainly not going to come down strictly because of the Fed rate movement. There could be some other economic factors that bring rates down, but the Fed rate cuts, typically mortgage markets price a good chunk of that in because those mortgages aren't going to likely happen for a couple of months. Somebody's going to pre-qual, they're going to have to find a house, and they're going to have to get to closing before that loan funds, and then that first payment's got to be due. So that's a few months down the line. So a lot of the Fed rate cuts that are being predicted out there are already priced into mortgages. But mortgage rates have fallen to their lowest average in nearly a year. And if you want to know, what you can get, what your mortgage rate could be, just go to citywidetampa.com, talk to Melissa. You can fill out an application right on her page to determine what your credit profile looks like and what you can qualify for. Also, citywidetampa.com if you're thinking about a refinance. And whether you're thinking about a refinance today or, a couple months down the line, it's better to start the process early, simply because you could have some things in your credit, your employment. There could be some things that you need to adjust to be able to qualify for your refinance, whether you're just simply looking to lower your rate, whether you're looking to do a cash out, no matter what it is, anytime you're thinking about getting a mortgage to buy or refinance, it's better to start the process way sooner than you think you need to start the process. Similarly, when you're buying, we always encourage people to start that process before you ever look at a house, because so often people find that they have credit damage, that they have problems, that they've got to do something with their CPA, they've got to do something with their taxes. And they find out too late. They go out, I'll give you a perfect example. One of my best friends, lives up in Indiana. For those of you guys that don't know, that's where I'm from. I grew up south of Indianapolis in Martinsville, Indiana, graduated from IUPUI in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then moved here right after that. I've been here ever since. But one of my best friends from back home decided that he was going to buy and upgrade and get a bigger house. Went out house shopping with his girlfriend. Girlfriend fell in love with the house. Okay. Absolutely in love with the house. Now it's his fiance. This was girlfriend at the time. In love with the house, ready to buy it. They're ready to move their blended family into it. It's the perfect solution for them. And then they get their credit run. they go through the mortgage process. And guess what happened? Okay. Well, he had changed jobs from being employed to being self-employed. So while he was making really good money, he changed industries. And even though his income was better at his new job, because it's self-employed, he hadn't been there long enough, and they can't get approved for this new house. So his bride-to-be is now excited and in love with new house, and they would have saved all this energy, hassle, and frustration at the beginning of their hopefully long marriage by looking at qualifying prior to that. So don't make that mistake. Hit up citywidetampa.com. Talk to Melissa. She will put you in touch with whatever you need to do with your credit, whatever adjustments you need to make, and help you get on the right track for qualifying for a mortgage. But also on refinances, again, do it ahead of time. If you're thinking, you know what, maybe I want to refi by the end of the year, you should be starting that process now. Again, citywidetampa.com. The last thing on refis, and I want to help people understand this because there are people out there that are like, oh, the rates have dropped, I could refinance. I don't want you to refinance if it doesn't make financial sense. We don't ever want to help someone do something that isn't smart for them. You really should have at least about a point spread between what you can get in your refinance and what it costs to refinance. Now, there are government products where you can do streamlined refinances where there's less costs and you're just lowering your rate. But again, there are some things that get factored in. And again, we just encourage people, that's kind of like a baseline. There are times or circumstances or emergencies where it has to be done in a different fashion than that, which is okay. So if you've got a rate 7.5, 7.5, maybe 7.25 and above, 7.5 or above on a mortgage rate, then, and you have equity, because that's the other thing. A lot of times with the streamline, you may not have to have equity, FHA, VA, but if you're doing conventional, you've got to be in an equity position. So those are things to keep in mind, but you need at least a big enough spread between the rate for the cost to make sense. And you obviously have to have an expectation that you're going to stay in the home for a little while. If you're planning to sell your house in 6 months, you probably shouldn't do a refi because the costs of the refinance that get lumped into your mortgage balance end up, you have to pay those back. And if you're not going to be there very long, then you're not going to have the opportunity for those lower payments to pay off the costs that you could incur depending on the loan product. So if a refinance is in your future, again, hit up citywidetampa.com. You can also go to any of our socials. If you're driving right now and you're, if you're driving right now and, you do want to do a refinance and you don't want to go to a website, but you follow us on social media at The Duncan Duo on any of our social channels, just send us a DM and we'll put you in touch with Melissa and help you get the ball rolling. So again, you're listening to The Duncan Duo Real Estate Show when we are on air at The Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok, as well as Facebook at The Duncan Duo. And then me personally, I am The Andrew Duncan on Instagram. I have a TikTok. I haven't used it, so don't follow me there. I'm not a TikTok guy. But The Andrew Duncan on Facebook and on Instagram. So I want to talk about home sellers, okay? Home sellers right now, one of the things that's really important is that we are still in a soft market. We believe the market is going to start to turn the corner. But one of the things we're rolling out with our partnership with Citywide and with homes that qualify, okay? This isn't every home. This depends on the price range of the home, the condition, and it's only single-family homes or townhomes. Typically, it's going to be single-family homes between $200,000 and $800,000. We've seen what the builders are doing. The builders offer these incentives and interest rate buy-downs to try and motivate people to buy their product. So as I've seen what the builders do, I've said to myself, well, hey, how can we replicate that and get our clients, our home sellers, people that want to sell their home with us, more exposure? So one of the things that we're doing at no charge to home sellers is we are, with our partnership with Citywide Home Mortgage, we are doing a free 1.0 interest rate buy down for anyone that buys our listing, okay? Again, they have to use Citywide Home Mortgage. It is only on our listings priced between that range. The listing's got to qualify, but it's one way we're separating ourselves right now to try and help our listing stand out. We know inventory's higher. We know the market's competitive. And we know builders have been massively successful with moving inventory because of the incentives they offer to drive interest rates down. So while rates are going down, at the same time that we see rates going down, we're offering this program. So if you're looking to buy a home, you have an ability to buy a Duncan Duo listing and get a free 1.0 buy down. If you're looking to sell a home, it's an added feature that we're going to do to help you sell your home that's not going to cost you any money at all if you hire us. If your agent isn't doing those things to differentiate your house, again, maybe you don't have the right one. Today's market takes a creative, aggressive agent to get exposure for listings, and it's something we're offering our clients that sell their home between, again, 200 and 800, single family or townhome. We can't do it on condos because the product mix is different, and it needs to be in that price range. So if you have a home, if you're looking to buy a home between that range, go to our website, theduncanduo.com, look at our listings. If it's between that range and single family or townhome, there's going to be a free 1.0 buy down that's offered if you buy that house. And that's whether if you come direct to us or you use another agent to help you buy if you're buying our listing. If you sell with us, it's something we're going to advertise with your home so that it helps it get exposure and competes with builders. Right? It helps differentiate you versus someone else. If someone's looking at your house and another house and they're comparing them and they're comparably priced, it's one extra thing that we can do, and we can provide the leverage of our team, the growth in our size and the number of opportunities in our database and all these things that we've been able to build over the years. It's a way for us to provide a financial opportunity to a home seller to help their home stand out. So if that's something you're interested in, again, DuncanDuo.com, you can get your home value estimate. You can, apply for a cash offer. You can apply. You can set an appointment with our team. You can inquire with the listing agent. But that's something we're doing unique that not a lot of people do. And it's, again, grateful for our partnership with Citywide and a free 1.0 buy down. And what that basically is a 1 percentage point reduction in interest for the first year of the mortgage. So if you're qualifying for a mortgage that, and again, you have to qualify, it has to qualify, the property has to meet certain criteria like I've relayed, but if you qualify and you can get a 6.5, well, with the 1.0 buy down, your rate would be 5.5. Okay, so it is pretty substantial. And the purpose behind doing that is, again, to allow people to get into a home, absorb the costs. Again, the rate's going to go up. Your payment's going to go up. But maybe by then you look at doing a refinance, or the market adjusts, or rates come down a little bit more. And then there's an opportunity for that. If not, you at least save some money in the first year to allow you to get in, maybe get a raise, maybe have your side gig, maybe find other things that can help you afford the property. But it does lower your rate, your interest rate on the property for the first year by 1 point. Again, a free 1.0 buy down on our listings that are priced between 200 and 800. You can search for those at theduncanduo.com. You can also reach out to our listing team if you're thinking about selling your home and you want this extra exposure. If you already have your home listed with us, we're already doing it. You're likely going to be getting calls from us. You're going to see updates on your advertising. But we're excited about that. We're excited about doing that to compete with builders. So we'll be back. We're going to continue our conversation after a quick break here on the Duncan Duo Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. We aren't on air at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. DuncanDuo.com for your free home value estimate. Or if you want to sell your home and get our free 1.0 buy down, a single family townhome priced between 200 and 800, we're offering that as an extra incentive to get the homes that we market with our team extra exposure in the marketplace, comparable to what a lot of builders are doing today. So one of the things I want to talk about next, though, if you're a real estate agent listening, I'm really excited at our growth right now on our team. We've rolled out some new technology. We have not let off the pedal on advertising and marketing. I've continued to really drive money into the business this year so that we're set up for massive success in 26 and 27. If you want the coaching, the opportunity for leads, the ability to grow within an agency that is helping agents grow their income. Just go to jointheduo.com. You can apply for any of our open positions. You can set up a one-on-one confidential consultation as well as attend our career night, again, at jointheduo.com. But speaking to agents, I know there's a lot of real estate agents that listen to this, and I shot a video this week, and I talked to a lot of my agents on my team about helping them work with home sellers. And I realized when I spoke to some other agents that weren't necessarily operating as high of a level, some of the mistakes that agents make when they're working with home sellers. So I wanted to start and kind of critique a few things. If you're an agent listening to this, or you're someone that's thinking about becoming an agent, this is for you. If you're a home seller, you may have had these experiences, and I sympathize with how bad they are. And I want to try and help point the professionalism of our industry in the right direction, as well as give sellers some tips. So a lot of agents, when they get to a home, they will walk through the home with the seller. And I've always believed that walk through the home is certainly an educational opportunity for the agent and for the seller to explain all the features of the home. But what I find a lot of agents end up doing, which is really, really bad, is they critique the house. They're going through and telling the seller all the things they need to do. Well, keep in mind, this is a seller. This is someone they've just met, okay? Sellers love their home. I love my house. I'm sure if you're listening to this and you own a home, you love your home. And you're thinking about hiring someone to sell potentially your most valuable asset. So you want someone to respect and love your home. So agents that walk through and then critique the very first thing they do is critique the home, it leads with a negative. It's a really bad strategy. If you're a real estate agent and you're doing that, please stop. It doesn't work. It doesn't help. You're starting with a negative and you're setting yourself up for failure, because now you've automatically put the seller on defensive. You've not added any value to the seller. Seller doesn't know you yet. You've not built any rapport. Now, of course, if this is a many-time repeat client or an institutional client or a builder, there's some things like that you can do. But if it's someone that's a homeowner that lives in their home and you don't know them super well and they're not a repeat client, I mean, imagine going over to someone's home as a guest. And the very first thing you do as a guest in their home is critique their home. Tell them all the things that are wrong with their home. How is that person going to feel about you as their guest? Are they going to like you or are they going to not like you? They're probably not going to like you. I think so many real estate agents get home sellers on the defensive from the jump because they walk through the house and they immediately start critiquing the house and telling the seller, hey, look, you need to paint this wall. You need to do this. You need to do that. The seller doesn't even know if they like you yet. You've done nothing to build connection. You've not gotten to know them. You've not told them all the benefits of working with you or your company. You've not made any jokes. You've literally, the very first thing you do is walk through the house and critique it. And I just think it's a really, really bad strategy that backfires on so many people. If you are an expert and you want to give that advice after you've gotten the commitment from them that they're going to hire you. And you've built trust, rapport, and connection. So again, same thing. Imagine like somebody coming into your home that wasn't looking to sell your house, and all they do is walk around and point out all the flaws of your house. Are you going to like that person? No. Real estate agents become very unlikable as salespeople simply because of some of the bad strategy that they use. The walk around the property is really meant to be you taking some notes and some mental pictures about things that you may use to help them understand the pricing of their home or the features or the things that they may need to do. Those are conversations you have after you've earned their business, after you've earned their trust, after they've committed to hiring you. When you lead with those things, you are going to tick off a lot of sellers. I was talking to an agent this week and they had told me that they did that. And I wanted to bounce my head off a wall because that doesn't work. It will work at the end of the presentation or even in a subsequent follow-up presentation. But the seller doesn't even know if they like you yet. Imagine like somebody coming over to your house. You don't even know if you like them yet. And they're just beating the crap out of your house. Like they're telling you change this and change that. And this is bad. And you got to move this. It's really bad strategy. So please, real estate agents, stop doing that. Home sellers, if someone does that, you may not have the right agent. It's a really bad strategy. It starts things off in a negative. It starts things off with the seller on the defensive. So I believe it's something that needs to happen, but I believe it's something that needs to happen, after you've walked through, after they get the commitment, you took all those notes. Now you can say, hey, look, now that we've agreed to work together, let me go through and tell you all the things that need to happen. Okay. You've earned some trust. You've built some rapport. You've built some connection. Now they see the value. They've committed to you. Now be honest with them, but don't lead with that. So again, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. We'll be back after a quick break here on WFLA News. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. Talked in the first segment about mortgages, our partnership with Citywide Home Mortgage, citywidetampa.com for all your mortgage and refinance needs, as well as the free 1.0 interest rate buy down that we're offering on our listings, priced between $200,000 and $800,000 that are a single family home or fee simple townhome. Doing that to get our sellers extra exposure. If you're thinking about selling your home, it's one extra reason why you should think about calling our team or going to duncanduo.com. But this month is Realtor Safety Month. And man, I have to tell you, like the number of, look, it's been a chaotic week in America. It's been tragic. The things that have happened recently. And it reminds me that the last few years of my real estate career, having been in the business 20 years, I have heard more horror stories about realtor safety than I ever have. And I want to educate consumers on this a minute, simply because I think you need to understand, especially if you haven't looked at buying or selling homes in a while, why some things have changed and why some real estate agents are a little bit more restrictive or they want a little bit more information from you. So the number of realtor murders is astronomically up. The number of realtor assaults is astronomically up. The amount of information available on real estate agents today, with so many of them on social media, is astronomically up. And so it's created this problem where real estate agents become, especially successful ones, they become a target. So if you're a client and the real estate agent is wanting to meet you at a neutral location or wanting to get your driver's license or wanting to meet you at the office and go through things, you might see that as like resistance to what you want to do. You're like, oh, I just want to see a house. But you have to understand that that's what the crazy person that's going to assault them does too. Like, no, I just want to go. They're going to try and avoid that. You probably don't want to look like, a criminal. And that's why realtors are being a lot more conscientious. It's another reason why realtors are forcing pre-approvals a lot more stringently than they have in the past. You might call an agent and you want to see a house and they want to make sure you're pre-approved. Well, because that pre-approval process is going to get your ID. It's going to run your credit. It's going to make sure that, you're giving your legitimate information to somebody that gets verified, making it much less likely that you're going to murder them, okay? So you have to understand that realtor safety is a much bigger deal than it is in the past. There are realtors that have concealed weapons permits, that go through self-defense training, that go through combat training today simply because of the risks that they take on by going out and meeting with customers and the risk that they take every day from someone that is there to abduct them, harm them, assault them. So if you're a client and you push back on that, just understand that you pushing back on the realtor's need to feel safe may make you look kind of like a crazy person. Okay. Like you have to start to understand it from their perspective. No home sale is worth a real estate agent's life. No home sale is worth their assault. They're doing what they can. They're being coached by their brokers, and we do this at LPT as well. They're being coached by their brokers to do certain things to try and make it safer for them. So please, if an agent is trying to ask you for some information to verify some things, understand it's not because anything specific to you. It's because society in general has changed. There's so much more risk out there. Realtors have had, there's been multiple assaults. Realtors have access to more data today. They can screen. They have, there's services that provide, background screenings for leads that come through, so they can determine, hey, look, is this person a criminal? Are they not a criminal? Those types of things. So all those extra screening mechanisms are to promote realtor safety. So if you are resisting their urge to try and get information from you so that they can feel safe, they may not want to work with you. And truthfully, you may look like a psycho. So again, you're listening to Duncan Duo Real Estate Show here on WFLA News at the Duncan Duo, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Facebook. Look, AI is going to change so many things in the world. Somebody asked me the other day, is AI going to replace real estate agents? I saw this video, and it's really true because, when they said AI is going to replace real estate agents, and then I went to Walmart, and I was in line at the checkout for Walmart, and I saw people couldn't figure out how to scan their vegetables. And I knew we were going to be okay. I knew real estate was safe because even if the technology is available, there's going to be enough people that just aren't going to adopt. But AI is an invaluable tool for you to use to do research, to get questions answered, to do analysis. It is a prepaid assistant. If you are not using it, I would encourage you to download your, whatever app you want to use. I'm a Grok fan. I use Grok constantly. There's certainly ChatGPT, there's Claude, there's a whole bunch of different products out there that can help you get information, but the information is available today to help you make decisions. And it is pretty amazing. Do I think it's going to, replace, real estate agents? I don't, because there's just too many moving parts at this point. Will it accentuate real estate agents? Will it provide support for them? Will it make the process easier or smoother? And certainly, will it replace really, really bad order taker real estate agents? Yes. However, real estate is still a negotiation. There's still a lot of steps to get through. There's still a lot of documentation. Those are things that will have a hard time getting completely replaced by AI. But it also requires adoption, people using the AI. And again, as I pose questions to people, I'm learning that there's still a lot of people not using anything related to AI, which is pretty remarkable to me. So anyway, you're listening to the Duncan Duo Real Estate Show. I want to give home sellers some tips as well today. I talked about our free 1.0 buy down that we're offering, but today's real estate market for home sellers is a price war and a beauty contest at the same time. We have more inventory. Our prices are not rising in most neighborhoods. It's very competitive. You need to be one of the best priced, best conditioned homes in the neighborhood if you're going to be the next one that sells. And you have to stop looking at sold comps, okay? Because what happened and what sold already isn't relevant anymore. It's gone. You have to pay more attention to your competition that's active on the market, and that's what you need to beat. We're not in a market where prices are rising like they were a few years ago. If you look at a home that sold 6 months ago and say, hey, that's where I want to get to, it's flawed logic. That doesn't work in a declining market. If you price backwards, you're going to be chasing the market. So we rolled out something because what we run into a lot is sellers that don't want to accept what's going on in the market. They just don't want to agree with the price. And that's a struggle because it's the market that sets the price, not us. And so we know if a seller doesn't price their home from the beginning, which is the most important marketing tactic that you have, it's not the pictures, it's not the video, it's not the agent you hire, it's not the copy. No one reads the copy today anyway. I mean, realistically, the amount of eye impressions and time people spend on the copy of the listing is negligible compared to the photos and videos they look at. People are so focused on the facts of real estate and putting all the facts in there. Look, home buyers don't buy facts. They buy emotion. They fall in love, okay? Just like when you married your partner or when you went on your first date with your partner, you fell in love with them not from their resume. Okay, the facts that you put in there, the property descriptions and the details, those are things that you can subsequently ask or learn about once you fall in love. But that's not what people are buying. People aren't buying facts, okay? So don't think that the copy that you put in the listing is going to have some massive impact. Unless there's some sort of special promotion, most of the things that are in that copy can get uncovered by the photos, and that's where people are going to find it. For us, obviously, like I mentioned before, we do a free 1.0 buy down with homes in certain price ranges with our partnership with Citywide Home Mortgage, and that obviously is something that we have to put in the text. But your marketing, it's the photos, the videos, but the number one thing, the best marketing tool you have for your home is the price. If your price is wrong, it ain't going to sell, okay? If you overprice it from the beginning, the likelihood of it selling drops 5x, okay? Literally, because what you're going to do is overprice it, okay? So you're overpriced from the jump. Well, prices aren't rising. In fact, they're doing the opposite. So by the time that you lower the price is lower than it was at the price you should have been at the beginning. And so all you do is this domino effect where you keep chasing the market. That's what so many sellers do when they overprice their house. It just doesn't work. Our agents are going to be honest with you and tell you that. In fact, we actually have a form that we go over with our clients when we're still going to list the house, but the client is insistent on a higher price, even though the market doesn't support it. We have a form that we present that we have the seller sign that says, here was the price that we told you, and here's the price that you're going with. Because what happens otherwise is 3 months down the line, that seller's calling and screaming, why hasn't their home sold? You signed up on the listing agreement with this price. You agreed to price the home at $500, even though it should have been $450. Here's the form. Mr. Seller, if you recall in our appointment, here's the form for you that you signed. I recommended this price. Now the problem is the seller in some instances will say, okay, well, let's lower it to that price. Too late. They missed it. You missed it. The price is lower now because that was the price it should have been 2 or 3 months ago. So sellers, price your home right. The maximum price in today's market, in any market, is obtained by creating a seller's market. Guess what? We're not in a seller's market. How can you create a seller's market for your property? You can get people to chase it. What gets people to chase a property? A great price. A great price, a below market price. When we have sellers say today, hey, I want to get $400 for my house, I want to price it at $450. That is stupid. It's stupid because you're not going to get any offers. No one wants to negotiate. If everyone wanted to negotiate, no one would be using Amazon Prime. People want to click a button and have magic happen. They don't want to negotiate. Okay, so your $400,000 price, and that's what you want to get, and you want to start it at $450, you'd be better off pricing it at $375 and creating a bidding war and getting more than one person. Turn your house into a seller's market. You have to price aggressive today, and if you can't price aggressive today, your home's not going to sell, and you should wait. But the problem with waiting, guess what? You wait, and then 3 months from now, it's less, and 3 months after that, it's less. There's a chance prices could rise in 26 or 27, but all the money that you're going to eat until then and all the time where you're not going to be where you really want to be, is it really worth it? So many sellers today are making pricing mistakes, and so many agents are signing off on it. And the number one thing that will market your home is an aggressive price. The number one thing that will create a seller's market for your home is an aggressive price. And in some instances, you're better off pricing it below market to get people chasing it by you're in essence creating a seller's market for your own home. Now, when the market is got lower listings and low interest rates, and it's going crazy. It's a seller's market in general, and that happens on every property. Okay. A few years back, everything was a bidding war. Average list to sell price ratio was 102 or 103%. You can do the same thing for your house, but in a smaller micro market, you've got to be the one that everyone chases. And the way to do that is with an aggressive price. So if you've got a $400,000 house, instead of pricing it at $450, pricing it at $375, you have a better chance of getting $400 on that property by getting people to chase it than you do pricing it at $450, everyone clicking next and saying, no, I don't like it, it's overpriced. You're not getting any eyes, and you chasing the price down. And every time you start chasing the price down, you're going to lose money because the buyers and the agents are going to see what you're doing, and they're going to think, we'll just wait till they keep lowering the price. Anyway, we're going to be back after a quick break, wrapping up our last segment here on the Duncan Duo Show. So we're back here on the Duncan Duo Show talking about the Tampa Bay real estate market. I get this question a lot. Andrew Duncan with the Duncan Duo team at LPT Realty. When we aren't on air at the Duncan Duo, I get a lot of questions from people about Zillow. And they say, hey, I just went to Zillow and I inquired on Zillow. And I want to explain to people what happens because I think there's this huge misconception. When you go onto Zillow and if you inquire about a property on Zillow, okay, and you send a message, you say, hey, I want to know more about this house. The majority of consumers have an assumption that they're communicating with the listing agent because many, many years ago, that's exactly what Zillow did. Zillow sent those inquiries directly to the listing agent. The listing agents paid for that exposure and they got the leads on their own listings. And that was kind of how Zillow, kind of brought up their whole thing. Well, eventually, Zillow turned on that policy and said, guess what, listing agents? We're now going to take all those inquiries and we're going to sell them to the highest bidder. So your inquiries on Zillow don't go to the listing agent. People don't understand that. They go to a third-party agency, typically. Now, there are rare circumstances where that third-party agency has paid for a certain number of leads and they may get the leads on their own listings, but it's very, very rare in the single digits percentage-wise. So your inquiry goes to a third-party real estate brokerage who now has to reach out and try and find all the answers to the questions that you want to ask. They don't know the questions. They don't know the answers. They don't know that property. They don't know the seller. They don't have all the details, okay? So if you want to go directly to the listing agent on a property, the easiest way to do that is obviously Googling the address or calling the number on the sign and reaching out directly to the brokerage, Googling the address or scrolling down because all of the real estate portals will list who the brokerage is, okay, and who the listing agent is. And then Google and you find their phone number. Now, sometimes it's hidden. It's hidden in like very fine print. They don't make it easy for you to find it. They're checking off a legal box of disclosure and they make it really hard to find it, okay? So, but if you want to go directly to the listing agent of a property, that is the way to do it. You're not going to do it going through most of the portals, the Zillows, the Realtor.coms. They're going to send you to a third-party agent that doesn't know that property, that's going to attempt to represent you as a buyer. And again, that's not to say that that can't be effective or that that may not be the right thing for certain people, but consumers are misled. They're misinformed. They don't understand it. They think just because for years and years and years, that's the way it was, and then a few years ago, it changed. If you inquire on those sites, you're not getting the listing agent. You're not getting the brokerage that has the listing. You're getting you're getting the highest paid bidder for that inquiry. You're getting sent to the highest paid bidder that's willing to pay for those leads, that's going to incur a cost to try and help you get information about that house and may not understand it. So simply put, if you want to deal directly with the listing agent, the easy way to do it on those portals is you can click down somewhere in the bottom and you can find the listing courtesy of, whatever the brokerage name and listing agent is. Typically, you can also drive by the property, call the number on the sign. You can Google to find it. Sometimes you can Google the MLS number and then find the actual broker's website. But again, consumers have that misunderstood. We have it happen all the time. Like they'll call us and say like, well, I actually, I inquired on Zillow and then I found out they were smart enough to figure it out. But there are some people that aren't. So I want to explain that. Again, nothing wrong with it, okay? Proper business. I could go all day long about why I don't believe NAR did the right thing in that deal, but it is the way that it is today. So consumers a lot of times have a misunderstanding about that. So one last tip that I want to tell people, if you're a self-employed or business owner borrower, okay, so you're thinking about buying a home and you're self-employed, you own businesses, you have wealth, you have assets, please, if you're getting a mortgage, please start the process sooner than you think, especially if you're dealing with tax stuff, especially if you write off a lot. Just had somebody not long ago that, high income earner, great wealth, and ran into a bunch of hoops to jump through to qualify for a mortgage that they probably could have gotten their CPAs and other people involved with sooner by starting the process a little sooner. They wanted to close on the house. They wanted to make it happen fast, and it became, really ugly and problematic, and the deal almost fell apart, all because the buyer didn't start the process a little earlier. I think they thought, well, I make all this money, but your taxes don't necessarily show that. So start the process a little earlier. You may have to finagle and maneuver some things, but Citywide does have an excellent no-doc program for high net worth individuals. If you're someone who earns a lot of income, has a great credit, has assets, even if you write off a lot, again, go to citywidetampa.com. Melissa can help you with that. It is a great program for people that are self-employed. We had a client very recently close in Colbreth in South Tampa that they barely looked at anything. So if you like that convenience, if you are in that status, definitely a way to start the process sooner rather than later. And again, I've done a bunch of those. We just did one recently. And it can be kind of a pain-free way to do it, but not always available. Depends on your asset and worth situation. But the best way to find out about that and more is, again, at citywidetampa.com. And last tip of the day, home buyers, drive by the property you're thinking about buying during non-weekend out, during the time that you're going to commute. Just had somebody recently, I've talked about this on the show before. They bought a house, like, oh, the commute time is 19 minutes to work because they drove it on a Saturday morning. And then Monday morning comes and it's an hour and 11 minutes and they don't want to live there anymore. Save yourself the time, energy, hassle, and trouble. Save yourself the double expense of buying a home that you're going to want to sell because you can't deal with the commute. Drive the property, run the commute during rush hour, during the times that you're going to be driving it. So hopefully that's helpful. Have an awesome rest of your weekend, Tampa Bay. Thanks for tuning in.